Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tapping Your Creativity today. I am super excited to have my incredible, creative, amazing artist, Robin Marie. She is, well, you will see her. She's going to join us here in my studio, and we're going to talk about today on her process, what she does as an artist. And there she is. Welcome, Robin Marie.
Thank
We're
you.
so excited to have you here. I can't tell you how I've been looking forward to seeing you today and having you join me. I know you're nervous. Everyone that joins us is a little nervous, but I'm here to hold your hand through the whole process, and hopefully this will be easy for both of us. You are
Yay.
an incredible creator, inspirer, teacher. You're an inspiration to me. I've totally just started getting to know you, and I already feel that we'll be friends forever, and I can't thank you enough for being here today with
Thank
us.
you. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for asking me.
Of course, of course.
I love this project, and it's my pleasure to be here. So, and hello everyone who's joining. I can see all the names popping up. So
Yes, yes. We're going to have comments right now as we go, but when you start working, maybe we'll pause those comments, have people have, have their questions ready to go for the end. But for right now, I would love to hear, who are you, Robin Marie? Where do you work? Where is your studio? And tell us a little bit about your history, how you got into art, where you started, all of that would be great.
yeah. My story probably starts similar to others. I was creative as a child. I loved anything that had to do with creativity. I sewed my own stuffed animals. I made jewelry. Every kit that came on the market, I asked my mom and dad, begged them to buy it for me, whether it was latch hook rugs or anything. I mean, I wanted to do it. And I remember really getting into what back then we would call visual journaling, but it was more like a scrappy kind of cut pictures out of magazines and put them in a book, because that was a long time ago. But as I got older, I really wanted to pursue art. But when I started going and looking at colleges, I was told you need to do something you can make a living at, not art. So it was like, okay, I'll do something that I can make a living at. And as much as I wanted to pursue art, I did not in my degree. I got a degree in public relations and marketing. Although I went into computer science before that, and I really liked it. I love the tech. Those that do follow me know I'm super techie. I love it. But it's funny because
Which little did you know that it was going to serve you so well today.
I know,
right?
I know. Who knew? But it's funny because I used to daydream looking at the students carrying their toolboxes and their big portfolios, thinking, I wish that were me. And now it's come full circle where I've taken that hobby and I've turned it into a business, and I utilize the tech side to help other artists and creatives to do the same thing. So the art that I enjoy I love everything, but predominantly right now I'm focusing on paper, painting, collage. I don't do big paintings. I mostly work with paper. I love art journaling. It's one of the things that really kind of got me into mixed media, really was that, because it's so loose. It's imperfect. I don't really do perfect. I'm very abstract, very messy, grungy sometimes, but that's kind of what I do. I love paint, watercolor, pastels. I love mixing all of those things together. So yeah,
So
that's
really you started your transition from really having a whole different career into jump starting into something that started early in your life. And in what, 2000 and
yeah, it was around and it was about 2003.
Right.
I was just dabbling with, back then scrapbooking was big, stamping was big, and I was just sort of getting my feet wet in that, trying to figure out what I really liked. And I remember I was at a stamp store, a local stamp store. I live in Florida, and she had just opened, and I was super excited. She asked me to teach. I had never done that before. I was like, sure. And I remember ordering rubber stamps one day. I was in the back room, and I thought to myself, why don't I just start my own stamp company and make the stamps I really want? And so that's what I did. I know I didn't really mention that to you, but
no, this is so
yeah,
amazing. Wow.
Yeah,
How do you even come about to doing that?
I just thought I'll just figure it out, basically, is what I did. And I just did the research. I contacted companies, figured out how to do it. And that company was called Paper Bag Studios. I have since closed it 2 years ago because I really wanted to pursue some other things that this path was directing me in. But that's kind of what started it all. And then it was just kind of snowballed from there. And it was like, I can just make a job out of this, a career out of this. I mean, if you love what you're doing, it isn't really a job anyway. And we all, we can say that if we love what we're doing. And so that's kind of what that turning point was. My husband's job moved us around a lot. And so when we finally moved back to Florida, I just thought, there's just, what do I want to do? And it was like, why don't I just work for myself and do this? And so then I just took the skills that I had, made and researched, learned more, and then just turned it into a business. And
I think that, I always say this, but it's so true. When we take ourselves out of our comfort zone and we take that leap of faith, like I'm doing this interviews, I'm not, a professional interviewer, but I'm learning so much as I go. And I know by taking this leap of faith, hopefully it will come back to me in ways that it already has, but it really has. I have my heart full by doing this and learning so much as I go. And I know that you took that leap of faith by saying, you know what, if I work hard, if I, apply myself, because it's easy to say, I would like to start my own stamping company. And then you sit on it and it never gets done, right? I mean, that's the easy path.
That's true. That's right. And I did run into some obstacles because I didn't really know what I was doing. And I had never run a business. I had been a freelancer before for an ad agency, but I really didn't run the business. I was just a freelancer. And so I did run into some obstacles because I was struggling to figure out how to do what needed to be done. And I finally researched to the point where I found a company and found someone that was willing to help me and gave me advice, and made mistakes in the beginning, but then I learned as I went along. And that's so important, because I think even as creatives and artists, whether we're starting a business or not, it's easy for us to dwell on perfection, to think about, I will put it out there when it's perfect. And I've kind of changed my mindset on that a bit. I know the saying, done is better than perfect. But then the perfectionist side of me says, yeah, but you want to make a good first impression and you want to put the best thing out there that you can. But if that's going to hold you back, then you're never going to get anything done. So do the best you can, use your resources, and then put whatever it is out there, whether it's your first Instagram post, your first Instagram story. None of us were perfect the first time we did anything. And
also it takes, I think, a leap of faith for someone like you who's been so experienced in business, tech savvy, social media platforms, teaching, to join me, who I'm really just starting on this journey, and to give me really that help that I need to get to the next step. So I think that by helping each other and putting ourselves on the same platform, it helps so much, because right now what we need and what people need is experts and people that are willing to give their all to help out without any cost or without anything, just coming from the heart. And that's how we help them jumpstart into something that they never thought they would.
Right. And understanding that when we talk about, experts, I know that you hear that, but it's like, I still have so much to learn. And I feel like, it's just like this interview. I mean, I've done stuff live before, but I get nervous every single time because I'm thinking, am I going to mess up? I'm going to say something stupid. I'm not going to be able to answer the question. You never get over that. You're always feeling like, I still have more to learn, and I'm not ever going to get to that point where I'm just like, I've made it.
100%. And the minute I think that we stop learning, we become mediocre.
Yeah.
So we always want to push ourselves, learn something new, get out there, and again, get out of your comfort zone. So,
wait, I want to say something.
Yes, please do. Please do.
You had mentioned it earlier. You have done a fabulous job at doing these interviews. In fact, that was one thing I really noticed. I felt like she is such a great interviewer, and that's not an easy skill. It's just not. And I've watched many of your lives that you've been doing, and you really are. And I just want to make sure that I tell you that, because you just said this is something new that you just started, but you're really doing great. But it's coming from your heart, and you're enjoying it, and you're giving so much to so many that it really is showing through. So I just want to make sure I tell you
Thank
that.
you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. So, talk to us a little bit about your process.
Uh-huh.
What you're, because I know that you do, it paper, collage,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
journaling the most. And that's
Yeah.
what you really love to
Mhm.
do.
Yeah.
So, we would love to see what you do and what is your process thinking and what materials you use. So,
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'm my beginning, other than the stamp company, really when I started doing mixed media, was in the area of art journaling. And I think it was just something, like I said earlier, where you can just jump in. There are no rules, and you can just kind of do whatever you want. And it's a great way to experiment with new techniques or new tools. And I just really embraced it, and I love working in that. One of my favorite things to do is to take an old book. This is a dictionary, fondly known as DJ. And this has been it's just been turned into, I used the covers, and then I turned it into a visual.
wow. Okay.
Where,
I'm going
and I
to
mean, and I
just
just,
turn off the comments for 1 second so we
okay,
can see you, okay?
yeah, yeah. So I'm just going to thumb through it, but it's just a place for me to be able to experiment. All these, it's not even finished. This is an in-process book. And so there's just, I mean, this is just where I go to play, experiment. And so this was just created, like I said, out of an old book where I added in the pages. And then recently I did a free class, and I'm going to hold this upside down, but this one is one that we did also from an old book. And this is a no-sew. So it was made with tape and a little bit of glue. And so this one is ready, fresh and ready to be worked in, but I do
Oh,
have
wow.
papers. I call these, and I'm going to show these in a little bit, what I call
Yes.
starter papers.
Okay.
Starter papers are those papers that, and I've got some stuff here, that I like to place on my work surface. And as I'm working, I clean brushes on it. It's that under paper. And then sometimes I just place a whole bunch of different papers out, and I just start working on them like you would, like a series, only it's not. It's just messy paper. So like here's one I started working. I'm sorry the light's not great. When we transfer down, it'll be a little bit better.
Okay.
But there's pastels, there's watercolor, there's marks with watercolor pencils, there's coffee. So I do a lot of this, and then these can be cut up and used as starters for whether it's journal pages or whether it's collage. And I just find I love these papers almost better than the intentional ones because they are so random. And then I'm working on right now the 100-day project. If you're not
Can
familiar
you
with
please
100-day
tell us
project,
a little bit
yes,
about what
it's
that
awesome. The
that
100-day
is and
project.
what it entails?
Yeah,
Because I know
exactly.
this is maybe your fourth time
This
doing
is my
it.
4th year. Yes, my
Yes.
4th year doing it. And
What inspired you for the first time when you did it?
you know, I was kind of thinking I was crazy because I thought doing anything for 100 days, really? I don't know if I can do that. I mean, who can even stick to a diet for 21 days, much less 100? So I was like, okay, I want to sit down. I want to do something creative. I'm like, I can do this. So I thought, well, if I commit to it and I put it out there and people know I've committed to this, I'll be more likely to follow through. Plus, I really wanted to get to a place where I was creating something every day, whether it was just coming in and doing, random papers.
Right.
Because
whose idea is the 100?
okay, I know the one name is El Luna.
Okay.
She was one of the originals, and there's another lady, but I can't remember her name. But it's the 100-day project.org. Yeah, .org. 100 days of tea bag papers. So it plays into my random papers, and then I'm incorporating tea bags. Now, let me just lean down here really quick. So the tea bags are dried tea bags. They're not, and I'm
literally tea bags.
Yeah, they're tea bags of different sorts. They're not, I'm not doing the art on the tea bag. That's a different thing. I'm actually creating artist papers, collages with tea bags inside the design. So behind me here, this is my kind of my inspiration board of the ones that I've done so far, and a few other papers. But so basically, I'll pull this one down so you guys can see it. And for those of you that may ask, this is a screen door that I converted into. I found it at a like an antique store, because I was trying to figure out how can I do something, and I wanted to be able to move it. So I didn't want something. I
love that. That is such a great idea. Yeah. So did you add like little tags and stuff where you can pin your art there?
Yeah, I'll explain. So I took the screen out and I painted it. And then I realized that without there being a backing to it, it was a little weird, like the papers didn't stay well. So what I did was I stapled on, this is just a flat board. And so I stapled those onto the back of it so that it has a backing. And then, I don't know if you can see it in this, but there's up here at the top, in this part here, there's these little push pins.
Yeah, I can see those. It goes all the way. Yeah.
And then these are those little hangy hooks that have the.
I love those. Yeah, because they don't. Yeah, they don't damage your work.
Nope, you just hang them on there. And then I have some string in some of the gapped areas where I just have little clothespins. These little baby ones are really small. And I just hang them up with that. Yes. So, yeah, so I can move it around and I can see what I'm working on and I can move it. Anyway, I had talked about this on Instagram weeks and weeks and weeks ago, and this is what I ultimately ended up coming up with.
Okay, so. It says, please remove comments because they can't see. So I'm going to remove the comments. But we'll come back to them. So please, please, our viewers, just remember what you want to ask. And then 10 minutes before we're done, I will put them back on so you guys can jump in and ask all the questions, because I know Roben Marie will talk so much about pieces of paper, all her materials. So just stay tuned, write them down, and then ask all the questions that you want. But for right now, I'm going to turn them off. And let's go.
Okay. All right. So I was grabbing one of the collages off. And again, when we switch the camera, the lighting will be a little bit better. But like in this one, this is the tea bag inside the actual collage. And then there's pastels and a variety of other.
What do you glue? What do you glue it with? What do you use?
For the tea bag, I'm using gel medium. And I use Liquitex. But I mean, you can use any brand. But I like that it's really thin, and I just use that. And then, and this is just a piece of regular old computer paper. So I use a lot of different papers in my process. So that is what I'm working on right now. And so they're all going to be different sizes. They'll all be somewhat different. And I have been using, and I'm going to show this in a little bit, these random found papers to then create the starters. I call them the starter papers. So pretty much all of these were started with, and let me show you this too. So this one.
And there's no rhyme or reason, right, Roben Marie? No. I mean, we can just go about it. You can just start and go about it, but there's no like, okay, this is how I'm going to start this or how I'm going to start that. You kind of just start going. And then
I go down rabbit holes, so who knows where we're going to end up. But this is a piece of watercolor paper, and then I mounted one of the collages onto this.
I love the edges of that.
Yeah, it's all rough. So this could be framed if you know, I wanted to do that.
Mounted,
Yeah, because I've been asked, well, what are you going to do with them? Some of these will end up in a journal as a journal page. Some of them are going to be cut up and used in collage. So I don't see any of them as super precious, although I have some that are more favorites than others. I'm going to show you one that's, I'm not going to cut this one up, but so yeah, these are just my way of experimenting. And one of the things I've been playing with a lot lately is pastels, soft pastels, and some, and I'm going to show those, but working with them with water. When I first was introduced to pastels, I thought they're too messy. I don't like my fingers getting all, you know, with all that stuff.
Yeah, with the dust.
And and I'm like, I don't think I like this. But I've kind of come back to it, and now working with the water, it's very different. And
you activate it in such a different way.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot like watercolor, but it's a little different. It's hard to explain it until you actually try using it. And so,
well, even the way it applies on the paper and the way the paper absorbs it, it's a very different way that if you just go at it as it comes versus if you put water on it, it almost creates this pasty, delicious color. It brings
Yeah.
the color even, you know, more vibrant.
Yeah, and because I think the way that I don't know exactly what they're made of, the chalkiness of it,
Yeah.
it'll pool in different ways where it's a little bit darker and a little bit lighter, and it has a little bit of a body to it. It's kind of hard to explain, but I'm going to demo that. I'm just going to like play and show that.
Great. Can't wait.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just switch my camera. I have a couple things I have to move and turn on the light, and then I will show y'all my work surface, okay?
Perfect. So this is how Robin Marie really, you know, uses her camera. So you're going to see how she does her live, and she has a YouTube channel. She has a podcast. She has, she's a founder of Makers Tech U, and it's a membership community for like overwhelmed creative people like myself that need simple solutions to their tech challenges. And so this is how she normally will teach something. It's having the camera facing completely down on her table, and it is very easy to follow and to see her what she's doing. So this is something that you guys can learn while doing it, how she has positioned her camera right now, and it's so easy to see everything for the viewer. So this is a brand new thing that we're working on too. So this is a great way of showcasing your work.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah. And I'm actually, I can see on my iPad, and it's delayed, but it looks like everything is in view.
You're perfect.
So,
yep.
Okay, awesome. Well, what I wanted to start with is talking a little bit about the papers that I use, because I get asked that question all the time. And I really don't use anything fancy. Some of my favorites, and if you take classes with me or have watched videos, you know that I'm a fan of True Ray construction paper. It's TRU-RAY construction paper. No,
let me just interrupt you for a second. I will have, after our interview, a list of the papers that you use for people on my feed. So don't worry, we will get you all that information. So go ahead.
Awesome. Now, I have been asked about the archival quality, and I don't worry about archival. I use newsprint. That's not really archival. I'm just doing this because I love it. It's fun, and I just want the enjoyment of it right now. I'm not producing products that are going into an art gallery and need to be have that special attention paid to it. So I just wanted to say that up front. So True Ray construction paper, love this. I buy it in sheets, and it's gonna be hard to see it, but this is 2 sheets, 18 by 12. So I like to buy it in the larger size, because then I can fold it and make larger pages for books if I want to. Another one I'm going to show you in a second is called marker paper, and this is really cool. If you haven't tried using marker paper, I don't use it with markers. I'm going to show you how I use this with watercolor.
Okay.
Deli paper is a must. Deli paper, the brand I have is called Cabinet Wax. It's not the same as parchment. It's very, very thin. I'm going to try to move this up a little bit, but it doesn't have it's very light. It's heavier than tissue paper, but not as thick as parchment. So
does it break easily or not, or is it okay to work on?
You can work on it with wet media, fine. If you really work and press too hard, it might get too wet and tear a little, but it's not as fragile as tissue paper.
Okay.
So that's the best way I can answer that. And then here's an example of using it where I can create, I love to use it for white, black, and then some like coffee staining, because what you end up with are these yummy bits that you can just tear out and layer into your collage and your work, where you wouldn't necessarily get that same feel if you were trying to put the paint right onto it.
Oh, I
see. So this is, I love.
Is there a right way for that paper, or it doesn't matter which way it goes?
Well, that's a good question, because it all depends on your brand. Some of the brands that, because I use this in courses, I'll be, some of my students say, well, mine has a shiny side and one that's not so shiny. It depends on the brand. Yeah. So
because I'm sure one is more shinier than the other, and it depends on the effect that you want, but I'm guessing that, one is, probably brighter than the other one is more dull.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and mine happens to be the same on both sides, so it must just be the brand that I'm using.
Okay.
Another paper is, this is called tracing paper, heavy tracing paper. This one has been used as a palette. But what I love about this, and you can probably hear it,
Yes.
it's super crinkly when it
Yes.
gets wet or has media on it. And earlier
Yes.
I showed this little journal, the one that I did, oops, here we go, sorry. This one, I added pages into this journal with my tracing papers. So here's one. You can hear it. It just,
Yes.
I
Yes.
love that. And it's translucent so that when you,
I love the texture that that gives. That's incredible.
yeah, and it takes the paint and everything
Yes.
really well.
Yes.
But it's a premium tracing paper, so it's a little bit heavier than a real thin one. So just to clarify that. Okay. So I will put gesso, whether it's clear gesso or whether it's white gesso. I often will put that onto, say, the True Ray paper, and you use that. So let me just do a few, and then I'm going to dive in and start working on one. So I showed this earlier, but I think you can see it a little bit better now with the coloring of, this is a combination of pencil, watercolor, soft pastels. This is the coffee right in here. And I love pulling out the coffee with some watercolor or even the pastels.
So can you talk to us about how you use the coffee stains literally from your coffee jar? Like,
yeah,
how do you use it?
And I'll demo that as well. You know, I don't know that the brand matters, but this is
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, this is an espresso instant. So it is much finer, but I don't think it matters. I think you can just use, I use an instant coffee. I suppose you could use the grounds from your coffee pot, but
yes, you can. I've tried that, and you can.
Yeah. So that's just the one that I happen to use. And it's actually very yummy too, this brand. But anyway, so, and then here are some that I've just done some doodly flowers, again, just random, but then I can go in now and take portions of these and use these in other projects. So for instance, here's a little journal that I've made several of these. Let me just turn to a page here and find one that where okay, here's a good example. So this little page here was actually cut from a large piece of watercolor paper.
Can you put it up, Robin Marie, a little more?
Yeah, of course.
There we go.
Make sure. Yeah.
Yep.
So this was actually part of a large 9x12 piece of watercolor paper that I then cut into multiple pieces. And then I took portions of those and then used them in this little book as little journal pages. Here's another part.
Is your binding on that book, did you stitch that together?
Yes, this one is hand stitched. It's one signature. For those of you that aren't familiar with that term, a signature is just, it's like your grouping of pages. And then I stitched it into the spine. This is an old book cover, and it's actually from a book that was taller. I cut the cover in half to make the book smaller. So you can get really creative.
I love it. I love that.
Yeah, and I also want to point out, because those that do follow me know that I'm really into scanning my work and repurposing it. So this was from one of those starter papers that I created, and then I scanned it into Photoshop and I manipulated a little bit and tweaked it, and then I print out these pages that I can then use in my work, whether I cut small bits out or whether I just use it as a page. So
that's incredible, because you know, when you're working on a large piece of canvas like I do, I never really think of recreating what I'm doing, but it could actually work for my benefit and make repetitions that I, you know, never thought that would be exactly, but then I can manipulate on top of them. So that's a great tip.
Yeah, because I mean, you're creating something, it's going to end up as something else more than likely, unless it's, you know, a painting or collage. Why not scan it in? And then you have that to use for all other projects.
100%. I love that. Yeah.
This one is gesso on True Ray, and this is predominantly pastel. So I'm going to show this here in a little bit. I'm going to start from scratch. I just wanted to show you guys what these papers look like on my table as I'm working. And I'll often over here to the right I'm right-handed, so I'll keep my brushes and my pencils and my tools. And so I might be working on something here, but over here, my palette, and then I've got this paper and I'm cleaning brushes, and then I flip the paper around. And so I'm utilizing, and I'll switch out.
And you have multiple papers going at the same time.
Yes, I do. And then sometimes if I only have maybe 15 or 20 minutes, I might pop in here and place out those papers and then just start working with some pastels or watercolor and then just sit them out and let them dry. So that way I feel like I'm doing a little something creative, but you know, and here's one that's on the work surface that this is like got a lot of stuff on it, but I still have a lot of open space here that I can paint on. So let me grab the one that. All right, so what I want to show here is this is the True Ray with the gesso on it. Were there any questions on? I tried to respond. Oh, let me show you this first because I think it's easier if you can see.
I don't have the comments yet, so
okay.
I think we should keep going, and then in about 10 minutes I'll turn back on the comments. It's been good to not have the comments because then we can really see what you're working on.
Okay. And I know I talk really fast, especially when I'm nervous. So sorry.
Yeah. You're doing a great job. So don't worry.
All right. So, and it's looking a little not clear on my iPad, but hopefully it's okay.
Yes.
Okay. So these are 6 pieces that were part of a whole. And so they have since been cut. And now these are the starter paper. So I wanted to show that to give the audience a little bit of an idea of, oh, okay, so now I've got this piece here that I can then start working on. And sometimes, Sandra, they look good and I don't really want to do a whole lot more to it. Or I might just pop it into an art journal and then just work a little bit on it and it's done. So these are just, or here's the other thing that is so awesome with things like this. If I need a quick card for somebody, here's a quick card. If I just want to cut this in half and make it like a little,
I love that.
I can write a note on. I can write a note on it to somebody, insert it into, you know, a package or whatever. So
and it makes it so much more personal, don't you think?
Yes,
when you create something and you're sharing it, and even if it's a little piece, it makes it so personal, and people really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, I have had many friends that I do that with. They have saved all of them, so it's like, oh, okay, wow.
They have their little collection.
Exactly. Now, I mentioned this earlier. This so far is my favorite piece from the 100-day project. It is. It started out.
You're getting frozen a little bit. I'm not sure what's going on. Oh, there we go. Robin Marie, can you hear me? I don't think we can hear you right now. Robin Marie, hello? Are you still there? We lost you there for a minute. Can you hear me? I don't know what's going on, but we can't hear you for some reason. Let's see if you can figure it out somehow. If not, don't go anywhere. If we can't hear you, oh, there we go. Let's see. I can't hear you. I will start a new live. I'm going to start a new live. I can't hear you. I'm going to start a new live. I'm just going to write down. I'm going to start a new live. Don't go anywhere, people. We'll be right back. Sorry about that. We'll be right back. Okay? Stay right there. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden we started not hearing Robin Marie. So I'm hoping that she will join us now and everything will be okay. I don't know what happened before, but Robin Marie, I think that we need you to join us. I don't know if there's a problem with your, oh, there you go. There you are. Okay. Oh, she will be live with us in a minute, and hopefully this was just a weird glitch. So.
Okay. I don't know what happened. It just stopped.
I don't know what happened either. It was the weirdest thing. So yeah, I don't know, but thank you for
the video, but
we just all of a sudden couldn't hear you. So, but it's okay. Everyone is joining right back. So no worries there.
So sorry.
No worries. You know, this is what happens when you go live. Things happen and it's just, you know, we sweat it out a little bit and let's just keep rolling. We're doing great.
Decided they didn't want me to be live anymore.
I know. I need you to get your camera a little more over your paper.
Okay, you got it.
Please. Perfect. Oh, there. Let me see. Nope. Do it again.
Is that better?
Towards you.
Okay.
A little more. There we go.
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna turn off the comments again. Sorry, guys.
Okay, so let's just dive in here, and I'm going to go ahead and start working.
Sounds good.
So what I have is I've got my coffee, I've got my watercolor here. So I'm going to show that I've got just a, this is a watercolor set where I squeeze them in from the tubes. I like Daniel Smith, Shihan. I buy mostly for color, but these are some good brands. And then I have my pastels here. So I've got a variety of different soft pastels I'll be using as well.
Okay.
And I've got my water jar, but I really, again, this is something I'll sometimes just do these random papers as well. But most of the time, like I said, it's on my work surface. So, all right. And then I have a spray bottle. So I'll spritz a little bit of water on the coffee.
Yep.
Yep. And then I'll just start working with my pastels. And I like to just kind of smoosh them on. I like to work with them kind of on the side rather than more at a point.
Is there a reason why, or is it just the way it applies, or?
I don't like the line marks as much as I like the smoothness of it. So if I kind of go at it with a tip, and sometimes the way you press, it might look more like a line.
Like a line versus, merging everything together. Yep.
But you can see, and then sometimes I might pull into that coffee. But I often, like I said, will work with different papers at once so that I end up having the, and then I'll go in, maybe do a few marks here, and you can dab into, and then if you want, you can even pull it out. I'm not a big fan of purple, so I'll rework that one. All right, now I know that the video is kind of going down a little bit, so I just want to make sure I'm getting everything.
No, you're great.
Here. Okay, and then I'll come into some of my watercolors and I'll work with those, but I really like the way the watercolor and the pastel sits on top of the paper. It just, I don't know. I just love the way that.
Yeah, I agree. It makes, it makes it look very smooth, almost like it glides through the paper.
Yep. And then one thing I also like to do is with my water jar, I like to have my watercolor pencils. These are the Derwent ink tints.
They're soluble. Yes.
I like to dip the tips into the water, and then I can go in here and just, make marks with those. And then I also have a charcoal pencil that I like to use, and I'll dip that one as well. And this one, you can just kind of go in and, whatever your marks are. And then I'll even activate that with water. I don't worry about fixatives at this point. This is just me playing right now and getting sort of just the background in, and as this dries, I'll come back in and add more. But eventually, depending on what I end up deciding to do with it, I may go in and use the fixative on it when it reaches the point where it's sort of the cut up starter paper that's ready. Right. And then I'll put, I use this, right now I've been using this brand. It's this, I may mispronounce this, Senile. Okay. I predominantly use those, pastels as well. This one is a Diane Townsend. These are some new ones that I've been using.
I love that pink. Wow.
Yeah.
In Spanish, we call that Rosa Mexicano. We love that.
Oh, yeah, this is my favorite. You know, Opera Rose, you've got that in the paint and watercolor. This was a set that I actually got, and this was one of the colors. It was called Hot. So you can see all these really hot colors. Let's try this one and see what this one looks like.
And it's exactly the shape that you like them to be. So it's perfect
yes.
for you.
Yeah, it's almost like a Cheeto.
Yeah.
You know, this one actually looks like a Cheeto. It feels really good in my hand. I don't know. Isn't it funny how we do that with supplies?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So even mixing this a little bit with some of these other colors, it's like a peachy when you mix it with that hot pink. So it's really, really pretty. And then, so the black also, you know, I can pull that out and add some contrast. But I mean, I work with it pretty wet, and then I'll come back and let it dry.
Yeah.
And then I'll move back to it and work with it some more. But I just, like I said, sometimes I just do this as a way to practice and just get some.
And that was so easy and fast, and you activated that paper so quickly, and you know, and it just tells our viewers that you don't have to think that much. You're just kind of going at it.
No, you don't. And then, you know, these are Stabilo tones.
I love those.
But the woodies is I guess what they do now.
Yeah,
but
I like the woodies too.
Yeah, you can tap in, and I activate these with the tip. I put it in water, and I work with that as well. So I really love doing that. And then I also like using the neo colors. These are not pastels, but they are water soluble as well. And you can go in and add marks with these.
What kind are those? Can you show those?
These are the neo colors.
Okay.
Let me get up to the camera.
And it comes in all different colors, I assume, right?
Yes, they do. I'm going to mispronounce this. Caran d'Ache.
No, I don't know.
Is the brand.
Yeah, you're doing a great job.
So, yeah, they come in different colors. So, okay. And then, but it's nice because you can pull out the color from what's wet with
make marks. Well. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I already used that one. I'm trying to see what other pencils I have here. Yeah, another thing that you can try if everyone's still with us and interested.
Oh yeah, everyone is there.
Let me see what my ink is. Well, I was trying to like think ahead to what I wanted to show, and I don't know if that ink is out. I don't see it. So, but I'll verbalize it. These are bamboo pens, basically.
Yes.
And these are great for art making. I like to dip the tips of these into India ink, or even a liquid ink like a Liquitex Professional acrylic.
Yes.
And then it's almost like a calligraphy type line, and then you can mark into it. Depending on what you use, though, make sure you either spray it, let it dry, because it may not be permanent. So you just have to be careful about what you're using. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And of course, you tip and drips and
So at this point, let's say you would let this one dry, and then you would start on something that you already had activated, and either add more or, you know, start gluing things around and, you know, moving it around to make your either a book or whatever you're deciding you're going to make.
Yeah, absolutely. So those papers that I showed earlier, I've got so many things here. These are some of my little bits of starter papers that I've worked on. And so I'll gather these up. And I'll have them.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, it's amazing.
You know, go through.
Okay, I'm going to start turning the comments on so people can start
I know we're on a time
asking questions. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask us at this time what your questions are. And maybe, Robin Marie, you want to turn the camera towards you.
Oh, okay. Oh, sure. All right, give me a sec.
So we can see your beautiful face. All
right, I got to shift the lighting, so give me just a second.
Okay. So what was the brand of the hot pastels?
Okay, the brand on that is called Diane Townsend Soft Pastels.
Okay.
And I get those at Dick Blick. Those are from Dick Blick.
What is the difference between gel medium and matte medium?
I currently use the gel medium as an adhesive. You can use it as a glue, but let's say, for instance, and it tends to be a little thicker. The matte medium tends to be more runny. The gel medium you can get in different thicknesses, like regular, soft, extra heavy. In fact, I thought I might have it here. Extra heavy or the really thick ones I will use if I need it, where I'm having trouble bonding something, like really heavy watercolor paper that's really ripply and has that texture. That thin matte medium, it just will not hold. And so I'll end up using a thicker gel medium to kind of hold that in place. Gel medium, the thicker, will hold like even objects onto things. So it's pretty strong.
And you can create texture with it because it's so thick that you can actually, you know, use different kinds of tools to make marks on them and leave them like that.
Right.
So,
that's right.
So if someone is asking, do you paint on both sides of the paper?
That's a great question. Generally, I don't. Generally, I will just do the one side. And then if it becomes, say, cut and folded and added into a journal, then I will end up working on the other side because it's now in a journal. I think it just depends on what I decide to do with the papers. Like, for instance, this one here is in my, I know we got the comments on. This was a I did. And so I haven't worked on the side yet, but the other side, you know, has been journaled on and has been painted on. But I did that after it went into my journal rather than before. I think I do that because what if I really love one side and I don't want to be like, what am I going to do now? So,
And you can always glue to the other side. So you don't need to necessarily paint on the other side. You can glue on the other side. You can stitch it. You know, depending on what you're doing is what you're going to, you know, what you will do. Now, again, they're asking, what kind of paper were you using in your demo?
Oh, okay. So, the one that I did for the demo, it's called True Ray. It's TRU-RAY construction paper. And I buy it in the white, and I get it in 12 by 18, but you can get it in smaller sizes as well. It's by a company called Pacon, P-A-C-O-N. Pacon.
Okay. And someone is asking.
It's not like regular construction paper. I wanted to clarify. It's not like regular construction paper that you used in school. It's different. It's, I believe it's also sulfite free, but it just has a totally different feel. It's not like, it's not super porous regular construction paper. So I just wanted to clarify that. So,
Right. What about the calligraphy bamboo that you have? Where do you buy it? What is it called?
It's a bamboo pen or pencil, bamboo pencil, sorry. And I got them in a set of like 3 or 4 off of Amazon. I know there's a lot of product here, so I don't know. I can absolutely put together something with links and all, but it's just a bamboo pencil.
So you and Amazon. I will work on getting everyone a sheet. Well, I'll just put it up on my Instagram, and we'll direct everyone for all the materials that you use today. So that will be fantastic. And then, we have an incredible surprise for you all. Thank you all for watching, but guess what? We actually get Roben Marie part 2, and the part 2 will be on May 30th. And she is going to talk to all of you artists out there and myself on learning, being more tech savvy, learning how to have a great website, learning how to utilize your social media, what you need to do as a creator to get yourself to that second stage. And Roben Marie actually does this for a living. She helps artists, and please go to her podcast, her podcast is called Creatives. Oops, I think I'm missing you again on the. It's called Creative Get Real Podcast. I can hear you. Oh, I can't hear you again. Can you hear me? No. Damn. Okay. Well, here is her information, and I will post everything online. But if you can see right there, all of her stuff, I'm going to post this everywhere. Sorry for the sound. I don't know what happened. Thank you so much. And we'll see you soon. We'll see you on Saturday with my very good friend, Maria Bordes. And we'll see you soon. Love to all. Bye-bye.